Hi, today we are starting with ethics. Ethics comprises of 15% of our entire exam weight, a major chunk, 18 questions each in the AM and PM session, and one of the most difficult topics in terms of passing or scoring in the greater than 70th percentile. As always, you'll understand the topic, map it, and go as per the learning outcome requirement. And after that, I'll discuss a few questions on how we must go ahead preparing for the same. Reading 1, Ethics and Trust in the Investment Profession. This is actually a brand new reading introduced by CFA Institute this year. Earlier, this reading was not there. In this reading, CFA Institute is trying to explain why ethics and trust is quintessential for a finance professional. It is important because of the fact that clients trust us with their money, hard earned money, and it is our fiduciary responsibility to express ourselves, to conduct ourselves in a manner that seems dignified and that seems morally and ethically acceptable by the society in which we are operating. Explain ethics. Earlier, the entire ethics curriculum for level 1 was basically defining the different codes and standards, the recommendation, the guidelines, and the recommended procedures. Here we are actually understanding what exactly ethics is, what does ethical behavior mean, and what is the role of code of ethics, what exactly do we mean by code of ethics in the investment profession. So any set of beliefs that are aligned with society's expectations and that conduct ourselves that make finance professionals conduct themselves in a better way is known as ethics. We need to conduct ourselves so as to satisfy all possible stakeholders, and that includes clients, co-workers, employers, our subordinates, the companies we are researching, and so on and so forth. Few decisions may not always be good for everyone, for all stakeholders, but we must try to maintain a balance and consider impact on different stakeholders. In further readings, we'll study the code of ethics and standards of professional conduct as laid down by CFA Institute. But what exactly do we mean by code of ethics? That is highlighted by LOSB. Describe the role of code of ethics in defining a profession. Code of ethics are principles that guide individuals, finance individuals, in outlining what behavior and what conduct is acceptable by the society and what is not. It not only uh, uh, transfers, or it not only exhibits our conduct, but it also exhibits the values, the principles, the expectations of our firm, and the society, and that code guides as a acts as a guiding path for us. Profession, on the other hand, refers to a group of people with specialized skills. In our case, the finance profession. We possess specific finance knowledge, specific finance skills in the finance domain, and our our code of ethics is to communicate that knowledge to the society in a way that it serves them better. What exactly are the challenges to ethical behavior? Why is it that ethical behavior is so hard to come by? This is identified by LOSC. Identify challenges to ethical behavior. When we overrate our own behavior as compared to others and overemphasize the importance of what we do, it actually overrates ethical quality. The reason why CFA Institute does not announce rank holders is because it feels that all students who have passed are equally successful. Overemphasizing means demeaning the respect and the value the hard work others have put in. Even if someone has some differential skills, the society will decide upon that and you will be rewarded. But overrating and overemphasizing your own behavior is actually a challenge to ethical behavior. There are external or situational influences along with internal and personal traits that determine the ethical quality of one's behavior. Social pressure, loyalty to supervisor, employer, organization, and co-workers can cause individuals to act in an unethical way. Society's pressure to perform well, and a finance professional indulges himself into insider trading. That is completely unethical. Insider trading is not respected by the CFA Institute because we, you and me, are one of the market players, and we should respect market integrity and stand out and not trade on insider information. Trading on the same is clearly not only just a violation of the code and standards, but also an ethical act. The prospect of acquiring more money or greater prestige can also force or can also mold one's behavior and force someone to do something unethical. LOSD. Why exactly do we need ethical standards in the investment industry? So LOSD describe the need for high ethical standards in the investment industry. The investment profession and investment professionals in the investment profession have a social and special responsibility because they are entrusted with the client's wealth. We are supposed to use our own expertise, our knowledge, our skill domain in order to invest the client's corpus to meet its his or her objectives, to protect him from a downfall in his living standards and help him achieve his future objectives like child's education or marriage or family expenditure or retirement plans, etc. The point is, all that we are talking about is completely intangible. We cannot measure, although, okay, one might say that if you earned a 12% return for your uh, clients, the market crashed last year, you did a great job. That is fine. But evaluation, investment management, advice, these are intangible products and thus cannot be measured effectively. Which is why trust in the investment profession is far, far more important than many other businesses and professions. Unethical act not only damages our client's wealth but also tarnishes the reputation of the investment profession, and as CFA members, CFA Institute members and students, the name of the CFA Institute as well. Any unethical behavior can have negative society impact for the society as well. And since the financial services industry serves as an intermediary between savers and financiers, a lack of trust in this profession will clearly create a mismatch between the savers and financiers. Unethical behavior such as misleading or false information, misrepresentation, insider trading can really affect capital allocation, leading to fall in the growth of the economy and standard of living in general. LOSE. Distinguish between ethical and legal standards. Ethics and legality are two different ball games. Something might be legal but might not be ethical, while on the other hand, something might be ethical but not legal. So there's this fine tuned difference we need to understand. In some jurisdictions, it is illegal to report one's employer's actions against the best interest of the client to relevant authorities, but doing so may be considered ethical conduct in some other jurisdictions. The CFA Institute Code of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct, along with the CFA Institute Research Objectivity Standards, highlight that we must recommend investment in a firm if we must highlight the fact that we have a personal interest in uh, or a personal stake in a firm if we are advising an investment in that firm. If I am the uh, if Mr. X is the son-in-law of Mr. Ambani, okay, or daughter-in-law of Mr. Ambani, and she is a finance professional who recommends stocks of Reliance, the relationship must clearly be disclosed. And if not, it not only is an unethical behavior but also in violation of the code and standards. When in doubt, the CFA Institute always prefers us to follow the most stricter interpretation, and therefore ethical principles often set a higher standard than most laws and regulation. Ethical decisions require judgment, understanding, and consideration of the impact of behavior on all stakeholders. Although it might sometimes be impossible to satisfy all stakeholders, but at the end of the day, it is in our hands to balance that interest and balance that behavior of ours in order to satisfy most of the possible and probable stakeholders. The code and standards highlight a hierarchy in which we need to satisfy the requirements, the needs of the different stakeholders. Finally, coming to LOSF, LOSF describes a framework for ethical decision making. We've read so much and I've given so many words on what exactly is ethics and how should we go about it, and whether or not if we do something, is it a violation or not. But exactly, let's CFA Institute has put down a standard, a framework, okay, for ethical decision making. Step 1, we need to find and identify relevant facts, stakeholders and duties owed, ethical principles, and conflict of interest. We need to consider both internal and external influences, alternative actions, and additional guidance. Step 3, we need to decide and act on the information gathered on step 1 and step 2. And finally, it's time for reflecting in order for further improvements, whether or not outcome was anticipated. If yes, why? If not, why not? It serves as a benchmark for future and helps us in conducting ourselves in a better manner in the future. Ethical decisions will be improved when ethics are integrated into a firm's decision-making process. Like GIPS compliance, ethics needs to be on a firm-wide basis and not on a department basis. The entire firm needs to be ethical in its approach. It will not only allow decision makers to consider alternative actions but also plan short-term and long-term consequences from different angles and improve ethical aspects of the decisions. To do this, as I said, it is important to apply the code of ethics on a firm-wide basis. The world is getting integrated. There are very few barriers that exist in terms of trade, financial services, etc. The integration provides an opportunity to teach, practice, and reinforce ethical code of conduct, which is important in order to develop and foster an ethical culture. Support of all stakeholders, the employees, the top management is really quintessential in order to make this happen. It is the effort of all the stakeholders that will help to create an integrated firm which has an ethical code of conduct. Thank you. Now just go through the entire write-up in order to understand and have the items absorbed, because at the end an MCQ question will be cooked up with the help of a story and we need to answer that. So just go through it, and after that go through the question answer section and do the in fact I would rather suggest you do the questions given in the handout first, okay, and then view that video in order to have a more commanding nature and understand the topic well. Thank you.